Welcome to Inspired Living with Mark and Kim. Every Wednesday, Mark and Kim, along with their special guests, will explore thought-provoking topics and ideas that promote creativity, self-help, healing, happiness, and well-being to inspire you on your spiritual journey. Each week, Mark and Kim will discuss different paths to achieving a more spiritual, balanced, happy, and healthy lifestyle. Topics will elevate consciousness and range from metaphysics to the human and social experience, and all things spiritual. Welcome to an inspired community that offers support, encouragement, and new ways of thinking. Mark and Kim are tested, certified, and professional spiritual mediums, metaphysical teachers, healers, and spiritual advisors with their own individual spiritual practices in Seattle, Washington, and Los Angeles, California. You are the inspired and the inspiration.
Good afternoon to all of our inspired listeners around the world. How are you guys doing on this Wisdom Wednesday? I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be with you as I am every week, and really excited about the show that we have ahead of us today. You know, we've got actually two very special guests, which we'll be introducing shortly. One of our guests is here in the physical, and the other is not. How's that sound? We're gonna be experiencing live direct voice channeling, and we do invite our audience to call in. If you're needing life guidance today and you want to hear what our special guest has to say for you, make sure that you call us, or you're interested in channeling work yourself. Or maybe you just have questions around the evolution of humanity or ascension or multidimensionality or all of that good stuff. Today is your day. You don't want to miss out on this. So give us a call. You can reach us directly at 202-570-7057. You can also send through your questions on Facebook. And we're always checking our social media, so you can connect with us in that way as well. But first, I'm Kim Falcon, live from the beautiful state of Virginia. And if you'd like to connect with me, you can do so at lovefirst.info. Certainly, if there's any way that I can support you in the way of readings, healings, or hypnosis, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. Then you can also connect with me on social media and join me every Fridays on Facebook Live at 12 Eastern for conscious and spiritual conversation, Q&A, and also mini guidance readings. So joining me here today and every Wisdom Wednesday is my partner, the intuitive prospector in the beautiful state of Seattle, Washington. Mark, how you doing out there?
Hi, Kim. Hi, inspired listeners. Welcome back. I hope you had a fabulous spring break, and it's good to have you back. I think I missed you for the last two shows, if I remember correctly. So I hope that you're refreshed and rejuvenated and ready to go for what's going to be a very powerful show, I'm sure.
Yes. So, Mark, if you'd like to share with our listeners, we've got an inspired affirmation for the month of April. And then you can share, too, how they can connect with us on social media. That would be delightful.
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that. And like we like to say, you are the inspired and the inspiration. So if you want to follow us on social media, you can do that through our Facebook page, which is Inspired Living Radio. Become an inspired listener all around the globe. We love our inspired listeners. So thank you for tuning in live. And you can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram under Inspired for Us. If you missed the live show that's broadcasting right now through OMTimes Radio or the Internet Radio, you can always catch a podcast over on a few of our channels. Of course, you can always go to OMTimes Radio Archives. It has all 4 seasons of Inspired Living Radio. You can also find us on iTunes, YouTube, SoundCloud, Podbean, lovefirst.info, and of course, marklaneheart.com. And if you want to work with me here in the beautiful Pacific Northwest, you can just do an internet search for the Intuitive Prospector, go to marklaneheart.com. Happy to do a little spiritual prospecting for your own spiritual gold. Have a lot of events coming up as we approach the summer. We're back out for Forest Fridays, getting up into the foothills and mountains of the beautiful Cascade Mountains here in the Seattle, Washington area. So if you want to get out on a hike, connect to nature, connect to self, connect to others, it's a great way to do that. You can also catch me every Monday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 11 a.m. Eastern for my show, Metaphysical Mocha Mondays, followed by the Prospecting Q&A after show where I have a direct conversation with you, spiritual readings, chats, mediumship. It's a whole lot of fun. And if you want to subscribe to my YouTube channel and get on my Soul Adventures playlist, just go to Mark Lane Hart. Or look for the Intuitive Prospector, where I have over 200 videos now. Not quite as big as Daniel's YouTube videos. He's got a huge following, and we're going to be talking about that when we bring him onto the show. And last but not least, I want to give you your positive affirmation. We like to do that for every show for the entire month. And this month's Inspired Living affirmation, positive affirmation, is: I have a winner's mindset, and I love accomplishing my goals. I have a winner's mindset, and I love accomplishing my goals. We will be taking callers after the second break, 1-202-570-7057. So get your questions ready. You can also post on our Facebook page, which I will be monitoring live. Kim, back to you.
Yes, so with that said, the topic of today's show is channeling, and also channeling the Arcturian Council. I feel so blessed to be able to spend this time with them, and also with our guest, Daniel Scranton, who has been a verbal channel since 2010. He has hundreds of live and online group events, private sessions with people all over the world. He's just doing beautiful work in service to all of humanity. Groups like or I should say beings, beings like the creators, the Hathors, Archangel Michael, the Archangels, Quan Yin, the Buddha, the Arcturian Council, the Zetas, the ninth-dimensional Arcturian Council are just some of the entities who have contracted to work with Daniel in guiding us through this exciting and also turbulent experiences we're having as a collective at this time of the shift. So Daniel is an author, speaker, teacher, channel, and we are so grateful that he has decided to spend this time with us today. Mm-hmm. Daniel, welcome to Inspired Living, and thank you for being here with us.
Welcome, Daniel.
Hi, guys. I'm happy to be here with you.
Yeah, so Daniel, you're calling in live from the beautiful island of Maui. Is that correct?
Yeah, I actually live on Mount Haleakala, about 3,100 feet up on the heart chakra of the planet.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my gosh. Wow. Wow. So life is good is what you're saying.
Yeah. Come a long way from Connecticut.
Oh, yeah.
Where I grew up.
Goodness.
What part of Connecticut, Daniel?
I lived in Vernon and Tolland, which are right in between Hartford and the Massachusetts border.
Okay, because my dad's from Storrs,
near Yukon.
Yeah, he's a big Yukon fan.
What about Storrs?
Oh, my
dad
is from my dad is from Storrs, Connecticut, and a big Yukon fan, so I'm just curious. You don't hear Connecticut come up too often.
Oh, wow, that's funny. My dad had a baseball card store in Storrs, and when we were growing up, we went to all the Yukon basketball games together.
Love it. Small world.
Yeah.
Those are nice. Those are always nice memories. Isn't it amazing where our soul leads us in this life? Like Connecticut to Haleakala is quite different.
Yeah, you never know where you're going to go.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and when I go back there, it just seems so small now. You know, like everything's just, it's hard to believe I used to live there because it's so different.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in many ways, I'm sure. So share with us a little bit about your background. I mean, what brought you to Hawaii? How did you get into channeling work? We'd love to hear about that. And then talk to us a little bit about what channeling is.
Okay. Well, I went to Boston University, which I dreamt about last night for some reason. I kept dreaming about being at Boston University and not being able to find my way around anymore. I studied psychology. Yeah. So when I was a senior in high school, I realized it was weird because I went to a Catholic high school and we had to take a course called religion. So freshman year, we studied the Bible. And by the time I was a senior, I actually had a kind of a cool experience in religion class where they taught about the humanistic psychologists, Carl Rogers, Abraham Maslow. So it's a bit more on the spiritual side, even though they didn't couch it in that way. But that got me interested in psychology, so I was a psych major at BU, but I was also very, very Catholic. You know, I was raised Catholic, went to church every week. Mother taught catechism. You know, so we were not that there was a lot of religious talk around the house, which is odd for Catholics. Usually there's crosses everywhere and pictures of Jesus, and people are always talking
right.
about the passages from the Bible, but we weren't really that kind of family. But for me, it really affected me. All of the stuff that they talked about in church and everything. I was scared of God. I was scared of doing something wrong, saying something wrong, even thinking something wrong. And I know Carl Jung had a similar experience. I remember in one of his books he talked about being scared like that. And so it created a weird, beginning to my spiritual experiences. And so when I went to BU, I immediately started to learn about how the religion that I was in, that all the same stories were all over the world in different time frames. So I thought, well, then the Bible must not be the one truth if all of these stories, there's a flood myth here, and there's a story about a Savior being killed and being resurrected 3 days later here, and all these different stories that were similar. So I just lost my faith, and it was a good thing, obviously, because it wasn't serving me. And so then I was atheist. So at some point I decided I wanted to become a screenwriter, and I moved out to California, and I started writing screenplays, and I was an atheist, and I wasn't a happy atheist. I wasn't one of those atheists who, is defending their atheism. I was more like, like Ricky Gervais. I don't know if you guys know him, but he's always being interviewed about his atheism and seems, pretty happy about it. But I was not, he's great. I was not happy as an atheist either. So then I discovered Deepak Chopra, and because I was interested in living healthy lifestyle, I ate all raw food, and I still do eat all raw and organic. And I believe in the power of the human body to heal itself, and that's what Deepak was talking about in this interview. And so that led me down that path of being interested in his books and books on tape, and then I just got into everybody, Ram Dass and Wayne Dyer and Yogananda, and then eventually Conversations with God, which are channeled books, which you don't necessarily think of as channeled because he wrote them, and he doesn't get up in front of people and channel God, but he receives the answers to his questions, the author of those books. So that was my introduction to channeling, and then I went way down that rabbit hole with channeling, and I got into the Seth books, which, in my opinion, is the best channel material of all time. I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen anyone channel as brilliantly as Jane Roberts channeled Seth, and when I was into the Seth books, there were 30-something books out there, and now there's more because they've just started releasing more and more of the material. And so if anyone's ever interested in those books, you're in for a wild ride because Seth is amazing. So then that led me to Abraham, so Jane Roberts died in 1984. So I didn't know anybody who channeled at that time. until someone introduced me to Abraham, channeled by Esther Hicks. And being able to go to an Abraham workshop and see her channel and ask questions, I mean, it was like a dream come true. So then I just started going to all of the ones I could. I would fly all over the country to go see them, and I would go on their cruises. I went on 8 Abraham cruises.
Oh, wow.
I never thought of myself as
dedicated.
Yeah, it was I had some really amazing times on those cruises. But I never thought of myself as someone who wanted to channel. I liked asking the questions. I liked being the one who sat there and asked Abraham the questions, but I never thought I'm going to do this someday. Like, absolutely never occurred to me until it just started happening. And it started happening during a time when I was giving someone Reiki, and that's the first time I felt energy in my body. It's the first time my body started to move by itself. Now, if you watch me channel on my YouTube channel, all of the movements and everything are not me doing it. It's something that happens when I go into that state. And when my lips started moving during a Reiki session, I thought, oh, wow, maybe I could channel someday. Maybe that's what's happening. So then a couple months later, I had this really weird experience where I was dreaming, and in the dream, it was a very short dream, very vivid. I can always remember it easily, and I was speaking to a guy that I knew from the Abraham workshops, and I told him, I understand now about the other beings. And he was a guy who was really into extraterrestrials, and I wasn't. I didn't think that they had anything to do with us or our, spirituality or growth. So I didn't pay any attention to them. But he did. He was really into them. And that was it. That was the totality of the dreams. I said that to him. And I woke up and I started to receive energy in my crown. And the energy was moving through me from head to toe. And it was a completely ecstatic, orgasmic experience to the point where my body was lifting off of the bed because my back was arched because I was in so much of a state of pleasure.
Thought. Yeah, my goodness, you're leaving us in this suspense now. We've got to go to break. We've got to go to break. This is a perfect time. Okay. Stay with us in 2 minutes. We've got to hear the rest of this story, and we're also going to experience the Arcturian Council today, too. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
The future of Internet radio is here. OMTimes Radio, IOM FM. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. Are you seeking answers to life questions? Would you like to connect to a departed loved one? Are you suffering from pain, stress, or anxiety? Kimberly Thalkin is a tested, certified, and professional psychic, spiritual medium, energy healer, hypnotherapist, and the founder of Love First, where life transformations happen. Love First services support, guide, and empower individuals by connecting them to their highest potential to live a healthier, joyful, and meaningful life that's filled with purpose. All services can be done by phone, Skype, or in person in Encino, California. Please visit lovefirst.info. That's LOVEFIRST.info for more information.
Hi, I'm Kelly Fox, host and astrologer of The Astrology Show. Each week, I'll give you access to the current transits, which are a valuable tool that provide astrological information to help unlock the potential each of us has. Understanding the stars can help steer us in the right direction to make better informed choices. So if you're wondering what's going to happen in your week ahead, be sure to tune in to the Astrology Show for guidance, Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time.
Death Row Dogs Rescue is a 100% all-volunteer, no-kill rescue 501c3 nonprofit organization. We are run solely by volunteers who dedicate their time and resources for the past 30 years to rescuing homeless pets from the streets in Los Angeles and surrounding areas, and from city and county animal shelters who are on death row, often moments away from being euthanized. We provide housing, medical care, and training to these neglected, abused, and often severely injured animals. Donate now, save a life, and allow these beautiful dogs to experience a home life filled with love. All donations are greatly appreciated and are tax deductible. Please visit www.deathrowdogsrescue.com to see some of our amazing dogs who need homes. Do not breed or buy. Make adoption your first option.
Ed, your body was moving. Was this like a Kundalini awakening?
I would consider it that if it was coming up from there, but it was coming down from my head.
Okay.
And
okay.
I also recognized that it had something to do with aliens, because at some point while it was happening, so first of all, I'm talking to the beings in my head, and I'm saying, more please, more please. And then I'm saying, one more time, and I kept saying that one more time. And then I thought, what does this have to do with that dream? What does this have to do with aliens? And as soon as I thought the word aliens, I got a huge one. So then I just started thinking the word aliens over and over again. And then I started asking them questions. And if the answer was yes, I would get a huge energy surge. And if the answer was no, I would get nothing. So eventually I had my eyes closed the whole time, and eventually I opened my eyes to see if they were in the room with me, and they weren't, but not physically. But once I opened my eyes, it was like the whole thing started over again with the waves of energy moving through me. So after that happened, I have no idea how long that was. I got up and chatted with someone about it that I knew would be awake, and then after that I just knew I wanted to feel that way. And so that's something I always tell people about channeling, is that I wasn't looking to be a channel, I was looking to feel that way. And the channeling sort of happened because first I wanted to help people by doing Reiki. I was just doing Reiki on people, friends, and people who I thought would benefit from it. So the first thing I wanted to do was help people, and then the second thing I wanted to do was feel something. And again, I never really thought, I'm going to channel and access all these beings and get all this information. That just happens when you're in that state, when you raise your vibration, when you focus on feeling energy moving through your body, then you are going to express that energy somehow, some way. You might do it through art or dance or song, or you might write codes, or you never know what you're going to do, but this is what happened for me. And the interesting thing is that I never wrote. I never went through that phase of writing doing channeled writing like Neil Donald Walsh, because I was a writer for years. I worked professionally as a writer and an editor, and I wrote 25 screenplays and hundreds of poems, but it all came through me verbally. After I had to practice, I had to sit. I actually got to ask Abraham, my hero at the time of my life. I was going to all these Abraham workshops, and I I went to one, and this started happening during one of their workshops where my body started to convulse. And I asked them about it. I got called on, and they told me, yeah, you should really pursue this channeling business, because it's something that is happening, but you have to work through your resistance to it, which is what your dry heaving is all about. So then I practiced. I sat with someone. Yeah.
I didn't even know. For the listeners, surrender and trust and a vulnerability of channeling, right? That's something that takes a lot of time and effort to surrender to something like that.
Right. And it is more about relaxing and letting it happen than it is about trying to make it happen. So in that phase of the few weeks after I talked to Abraham, and there were a few weeks there where I wasn't speaking. I was channeling. There was energy moving through my body, moving my body around. I made some sounds that were like parts of words part of the time, and then eventually I spoke and I said, we are here for you. That was the first thing I ever said. That was what the creators say. They're the first group I ever brought through. And I've been channeling them ever since. And back then, you know, I knew of only a few people who channeled, and they all seemed to channel one being. So Abraham was channeled by Esther, Bashar was channeled by Daryl, Seth, you know, a long time ago was channeled by Jane, and I didn't know about channeling all these other beings until I ran into Wendy Kennedy and Nora Harold, who became like mentors to me. They both lived in Southern California where I was, and I started going to their events, and they would channel all sorts of different beings in the same event. So that opened my mind and heart, I guess, to the possibility I could channel more than just the creators. And so I've connected with Ophelia the Faerie for the first time in the forest where I used to hike, and then I connected with the Hathors and a bunch of others. There would always be like an interesting story behind who would come next. You know, Archangel Michael just came during a workshop, a retreat I was attending that Nora Harold was running, and she just opened it up to people. She, does anyone feel like they can channel Archangel Michael? And I already was, when she asked the question, I already felt Michael. And the first time I channeled Michael, it was a light language. So that's something else that I do, is I channel these light languages that, again, I didn't know what a light language was before it started coming through me. I had never heard of a light language. I had heard of people speaking in tongues, which is essentially what it is.
From the religious background.
So it has a long tradition, but we in the spiritual community call it light language, and now it seems like everybody's speaking them. But back then, 9 years ago, I didn't know anyone who spoke them, but Wendy Kennedy did, and so she was the one who told me that that's what you're doing. And back then it was very basic. I really only spoke one language, and the vocabulary was, you know, made up of maybe a dozen or so words, a lot of repetitive. But now it's branched out to where I can speak a different one every time I do it. And they're like verbal activations. You know, you receive so much from hearing a light language, and you don't have to interpret it. You know, in fact, it's better to stay out of your head and not try to interpret it and not try to make sense of it. And then the tones came later. So after channeling verbally in English and then channeling light language. Then about a year after that, I started channeling the tones.
Right, and that I've heard some of that in your channeling work. Is that how you normally open up, or is that just with? Because I know that you make different sounds and then the tones and stuff. Yeah. Does that always come every time you channel?
Every time I channel, but I didn't like the Arcturian sounds are different than the Pleiadian sounds, and the tones tend to be somewhat similar. The creators have the most elaborate tones that come in, and I think the most beautiful.
Yeah.
So I don't make them on purpose. I don't think like, see, I know everybody thinks that when they hear me do it, they think, oh, he's going into the channeling state, but I'm already channeling when I'm receiving those tones and sounds through me. And I explain that on my YouTube homepage now. Like, this is why I tone. This is why my body moves around, because I'm sure people wonder why. Somebody actually asked me, why all the theatrics,
Yeah, I saw that on your video where you explained that, and just listening to it, it's beautiful sound. And I'm thinking perhaps maybe we should go into the channeling so that folks around the world can hear this beautiful work it is that you're doing with all of these beautiful entities that are here to love us and support us. Does that work for you, Daniel?
I'm just thinking about your breaks because you have another break coming.
We do.
So maybe we should do it after that.
After that? Okay, let's do that. You're right, because we're going to do about 10 minutes or so of channeling. And this is, okay, so let's spend the next few minutes talking, and we'll go into a break. And when you come back, you can do the channeled work, which is a great suggestion. And then if people want to call in and ask the Arcturians for guidance, or they've got questions about channeling, now's your time. That would be the time to do that while Daniel's in his channeled state, or you can simply call him when he comes out of it and ask him questions. So Daniel, here we go. We're going into break.
Oh, we're going to take the break now. Okay.
I guess we got to get into this channeling. I think that the Arcturian Council is ready to go. All right.
We want to get back to channeling.
Yeah, stay with us. We'll be back in 2 minutes, and then we'll get to hear some of this beautiful work.
The cutting edge of conscious radio. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Have you wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake.
One planet, 7.3 billion people, only one you. Life offers us many opportunities and learning experiences. Are you ready to explore and discover this beautiful planet, the life and energy all around us, the spiritual world, and what is unseen, along with your own personal soul adventure? Mark Lanehart, the intuitive prospector, is the spiritual connection you have been prospecting for. Internationally known as a tested and professional clairvoyant medium and spiritual advisor, Mark's work as a metaphysical teacher, medical instructor, radio show host, inspirational writer, and hiking guide are here to help you on a journey of self-discovery, healing, inspiration, education, and a whole lot of spiritual awesomeness. Dare to dream. Dare to explore. Dare to live. For more information on Mark's spiritual practice in Seattle, Washington, please visit marklanehart.com or internet search The Intuitive Prospector.
Tune in to The Practical Intuitive, Mind, Body, Spirit for the Real World with me, host Robin Fritz, Mondays at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 Eastern. I'll cover personal and business intuition, animal communication, mediumship, space clearing, past life regression, shamanic insights, energy healing, soul choice, and more, all to help you tap your own intuitive and healing skills. No ifs, ands, or buts.
To protect his home and family from disaster, Steve used courage, wisdom, and his camera phone.
That should do it.
Way to go, Steve! By simply taking digital pictures of his family's important documents, Steve can always have them stored safely online, no matter when disaster strikes. Learn other simple ways to protect your home and family before a natural disaster at ready.gov. That's ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
And welcome back to Inspired Living Radio with Mark and Kim, our very special guest today, calling in from Maui, Daniel Scranton. If you want to learn more about the work he's doing, you can find him on his YouTube channel, which I just subscribed to, and you can also go to danielscranton.com. Daniel, I wanted to go to break early so we'd have time for the channeling to begin, and I'm just going to turn it back over to you so our inspired listeners around the globe can hear what channeling is like and all about, and I'm just going to turn the platform over to you now.
Okie dokes. So you guys have people who are lined up to ask questions in the queue?
I know I have a question. I know Kim has a question, and I'm going to go to my Facebook page right now and monitor the Facebook page. And if you want to call in, please give us a call.
Okay. All right, then I'll just get to it. We are the Arcturian Council. We are pleased to connect with all of you. Yes. We are the Arcturian Council, and we are very happy to be here connecting with all of you who are tuning in. It is a beautiful time to be there on Earth making your ascension journeys. And we are here in support of you. We are ninth dimensional beings, which means we are non-physical. So you don't have to think of us in terms of what we look like or what our ships look like or where they are, because we don't have any of those things. We are a consciousness that has ascended within the Arcturian star system into this ninth dimensional frequency range. So when we talk about dimensions, we're not really talking about places. Some people think of dimensions as other realities that are similar to yours but different. But we refer to dimensions in terms of the different frequency ranges that exist in this universe. And so when you raise your vibration and hold your vibration at a particular frequency, then you become fifth dimensional, and then you'll raise it more and become sixth dimensional. And eventually you will shed your physical vehicles altogether and be like us, where we have no place now that we exist because we are non-physical, so there is no place for us to exist. So we are everywhere and nowhere at the same time, but we still carry with us that beautiful Arcturian energy because that is where we ascended from. And so we understand you have some questions for us.
Yes, hello, Arcturian Council. My name is Mark, and my question for you, based on divine timing and science, is today we get to see the first picture of a black hole that was actually captured by one of the NASA telescopes. And I'm curious to see, as the universe starts to unfold, and what Einstein talked about with multi-dimensions and wormholes, is this just the beginning of seeing a black hole, and will we start to see more and see and understand more about our universe?
Well, yes. Black holes are very interesting because they give you the idea of what it would be like to go somewhere else without needing to get in a ship or a car or a plane and take yourself there through propulsion. And certainly portals are going to become much more important in your lives in the coming decades, and wormholes as well. The beings that understand how to utilize portals and wormholes do exist in your dimension and are taking advantage of that knowledge to get around. So the mysterious black hole is sort of the antithesis of creation. You have the polarity in your dimension that is very strong. So you have creation, and then you have the black hole experience, which is the opposite of creation. And that's what you will always have. You will always have polarity no matter what dimension you are in. Our polarity that we experience here in the ninth dimension is very slight in comparison to yours. But yes, certainly you are going to be seeing more of this type of evidence of the way the universe works, and you'll be seeing more of this type of disclosure of what NASA knows and what other entities know on planet Earth as it becomes more difficult to hide information from the masses. And as that disclosure happens, then you're going to have more people getting interested in extraterrestrials and space travel. And so it is an exciting time to be alive for those reasons as well.
Thank you.
And I have a question too. This is Kim. And
Yes?
I do mostly written channel work, and I'm interested in exploring voice channeling, and I would love to have your guidance on next best steps for me.
Well, you have the writing that you can do that puts you in the state that you want to be in and gets the momentum going for you of receiving the energy and letting it move through you and down into your hand where you do the writing. And at some point, as you get a good momentum going there with the writing, you will want to make the conscious intention to shift from writing to speaking. So perhaps that will mean for you stopping the writing, but bringing the energy into your throat instead of your hand. So you will consciously direct it to that part of your body where it can be expressed in a new and different way. And it may take several attempts before the words can be generated by you verbally, and that process of shifting from writing to speaking can be one that you enjoy. It can be a fun adventure for you. And so if you have fun with it and you be playful about it and see it as you opening up to more, then that will be your experience of it. So it's good to not be attached to it happening in any sort of time frame or to be attached to it happening at all, but instead just to play with it and feel the way in which the shifting of energy within you can be something that you enjoy experiencing, rather than a task that you have given yourself or a goal that you have set for yourself. Just something that you're having fun with as you play around with the movement of the energy through you.
Thank you. Beautiful. Thank you.
I love that. So we have one more question from one of our local listeners, John, who wanted to know, Daniel was talking about aliens in the beginning of the show, and he was wondering if first contact is inevitable or has it already taken place?
Well, it's already taken place with several ET groups that are physical. What first contact refers to in the minds of many is that open contact where there's no more hiding of the fact that ETs are there with you, walking among you, working with groups of humans, and how it's all very clandestine and it's all very hidden behind the scenes. So that first contact that he's referring to is really full and open contact. And we give updates about that in the messages that come through this particular channel. And so what we see is that there's a greater readiness today for that than there ever has been. You've had civilizations with open contact in the past, but you've never had the whole world connected in the way that you are now, so that if there's full and open contact in some part of Mexico, it's not just going to stay in Mexico, it's going to be spread. That information will have to be spread to all parts of the world. And so you're really readying all parts of humanity for that experience. And the further along you get here, the closer you are to that experience, and it is a big part of the expansion of your consciousness and the shifting of your consciousness. So we do see it as inevitable, that open contact that you're all looking for.
Well, thank you very much. And thank you, John, for that question, one of our inspired listeners. Thank you very much.
Very good. And so that is our time, and we want to say that we are available to connect with all of you. Now that you have tapped into our frequency, you can certainly connect with us directly and have your own experiences of us. We are here for all of you. We are the Arcturian Council, and we have enjoyed connecting with you.
Thank you so much. We've really enjoyed the connection. Thank you for channeling. We'll give Daniel just a second to come back as we get ready to close out this show. So, Daniel, just let me know when you're ready and back. And back in
I'm here.
This physical dimension, far as I know you were.
It's easy to come back.
Okay. I was talking to Kim before the show, and I didn't know if somebody needed to bring you back or if you had a process, because we've had other channelers on the show. You may know Paul Selig. He's been a former guest, and he's channeled, and it usually takes him a few minutes to come back at times. So I just wanted to be mindful of that. And for our inspired listeners that are listening, I just want to remind them, if you do want to get out and see your own alien, and you're not able to connect the way that we connected today and with those questions from the council, or those answers from the council, I just want to remind people that you can always drop down into our amazing oceans all around the world. This planet is covered in water, and you'll go down and you'll see this little creature called an octopus, and it's the only creature on the planet that has no DNA comparable to anything else on the planet. So I've seen aliens several times as a certified diver, and I just want to remind people that if you get out and explore and discover through your body, mind, and spirit, there's many different ways to connect to our species and other species all around the planet. So get out and see an octopus as well. So, Daniel, thank you so much.
I was just saying that yesterday, actually, Mark, to my class, and I've been teaching about making contact. That the science has said that octopus, they have to be alien. There's just no way that
there's
they're
no
from
other
here.
species. The DNA doesn't match anything on the DNA scale, so they had to come from somewhere because they're not a planet Earth. So I always remind people of that. And thank you, Daniel, for channeling and being on Inspired Living Radio today. Just for the sake of time, I always ask our guests, who or what inspires you?
Well, nature certainly inspires me. I love being in nature. I think that being in nature will automatically raise my vibration every time. As far as the who, it's my wife and my cats, that to put me in a state of being of love and joy so easily as they do, it's really, I feel so blessed.
Awesome. Well, I love that. Nature is our greatest teacher, our greatest healer, our greatest engineer, and it is our first home. I always remind people of that it's important to get back to your first home.
Yeah.
So again, if you want to learn more about Daniel, you can go to danielscranton.com. You can also find him on YouTube. He's got an amazing YouTube channel. Thank you so much for being on Inspired Living Radio today. Kim, did you want to add anything before we close?
No, well, I just want to say thank you so much, Daniel, for spending this time with us, and thank you to the beautiful wisdom shared to us today by the Arcturian Council. It was such a treat for us to be able to, feel that connection, the energy. And Mark sent me a message that, oh my gosh, the vibration of their sounds are like amazing.
Oh, through my headset, it was just unreal.
Yeah, it really is hard to. It's hard to even describe. So thank you so much to both of you, all of you, who've been with us today, and thank you, Daniel.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you
A lot of
for
fun.
the work you're doing out there. Lots of love.
Yes. Lots of love to you guys. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.